Beavers, Nature's Engineers, presented by Trout Unlimited Canada. Trout Unlimited Canada is a registered Canadian charitable organization with a mission to conserve, protect, and restore Canada's freshwater ecosystems and their cold water resources for current and future generations. Our professional staff work with volunteers and partners to protect natural spaces and improve Canadian resources. We have a network of passionate volunteer-run chapters across Canada, operating from PEI to Vancouver Island. Our priorities lie in improving both water quality and water quantity in freshwater systems. This ranges from restoring degraded streams to planting trees to help mitigate the effects of excess runoff. We use sensitive trout species as indicator species to improve fish habitat and create healthy, diverse fish communities. But let's talk about beavers, their history, benefits to the ecosystem, and what we can do to live with them. Pre-colonialism, there was an estimated 60 to 400 million beavers across North America. Many indigenous cultures hunted beavers for subsistence. The Tachon, Tagish, and Tlingit people considered beavers to be a powerful spirit animal. From the onset of colonialism, beavers were trapped for the next 400 years to support the fur trade. An estimated 100 to 300,000 beavers were harvested from North America each year, creating a localized extirpation of the beaver. This harvesting declined the beaver population so much that a beaver trapper from the early 1900s reported that after months of scouring 25,000 square kilometers, he only returned with 4 beaver pelts for his efforts. With beaver populations at a historical low, something needed to be done. To combat the effects of the fur trade, a recovery plan began. Trapping was stopped, fashion shifted away from beaver pelts, and the beavers were stocked. Beaver numbers have since returned to about 1.5 million. However, this is only about 2% of the historical population in North America. So what is a beaver? Beavers are part of the rodent family, the same family as mice and rats. They are herbivores with specialty teeth for cutting through woody material. The orange enamel you can see here actually contains iron for additional chomping strength. Beavers are what we call a keystone species. Their damming behavior shapes the ecosystem drastically. Other than humans, they are the only other animal to change the landscape on such a large scale. This keystone species is also social and lives in colonies. Their average lifespan is 10 to 15 years. During this time, they will find a partner, live a monogamous life, and females will have 1 to 4 offspring per year. Young will be raised until about 2 years of age, and then the kits will leave the nest and set off to start their own colony. These colonies start with the infrastructure. The beavers create complexes composed of a dam or a series of dams, a lodge, and caches of food. Dams are constructed using wood, rocks, and mud packed tightly together. This allows the upstream portion of the waterway to flood and create a pond or wetland environment. Although agile in the water, the beaver is lumbering on the land, and so these flooded areas allow for extra protection from predators. This triggers a large-scale change to the landscape by increasing upstream water levels and creating more aquatic habitat. Here we can see an example of a beaver complex, a central lodge with dams both upstream and downstream. Starting at the downstream dam and moving up, we can see the width of the river increase as we approach the central lodge. This entire complex and its impact on the ecosystem is equivalent to 12 football fields in size and is managed by a single beaver family. Once an area is dammed, new aquatic habitat is formed. In this photo, we can see how the previously narrow channel, outlined in blue, has now expanded to saturate the entire valley bottom. This is due to the constructed beaver dams along the stream. This newly saturated area allows insects, amphibians, fish, and other critters to move in, creating a diversity of habitat types that were not there prior. This leads to water storage. When the water in a dammed area cannot move, it infiltrates the soil and increases the water storage. The water table begins to fill and more water becomes available in the soil, increasing the ecosystem resilience in the face of natural disturbances. Here we can see the effects of droughts on streams with beaver activity and without. The streams without beaver activity have a low water table. During droughts, the native vegetation on the riparian buffer cannot draw enough water to survive. In the streams with beaver activity, the water table is increased. native vegetation can pull enough water and survive. This additional water storage helps mitigate the effects of floods. Here we can see the Elbow River in Alberta with no beaver activity. In 2013, a massive flood moved through the system and realigned the entire channel. Here we see another river with beaver complexes during the same flood. A before and after photo will show little change to the area. The dams were able to slow the momentum of the flooding and disperse the water across the newly created wetlands and ponds. This reduced the flood's destructive potential downstream rather than channelizing it like the Beaver Free River. Fires in a beaver-occupied area is another example of their benefit to the ecosystem. Here we can see a forest fire that has ravaged a landscape. The area occupied with beaver complexes has remained unscathed. The increased water table prevented the fire from burning the riparian vegetation. In addition to increasing ecosystem resilience, beaver ponds don't fully freeze during winter and provide winter refuge for trout. It was found that trout caught in beaver complexes grow faster and larger due to the abundance of insects attracted to the slow-moving pools and rich vegetations. The complexes provide more habitat choices for fish. Although beaver dams can be a barrier to fish passage, fish have lived with beavers longer than without. During high flows, fish can bypass these dams or find holes in the dam to move through. Human-beaver conflicts occurs when development encroaches too close to floodplains. Beavers can block culverts and cause flooding on roads and personal property. They cut down ornamental trees and create burrows. This activity has become a nuisance to municipalities and homeowners alike. Sometimes trapping is the only feasible option of dealing with beavers, but it should be a last resort. Removing beavers and their complexes from a suitable area will remove all of their ecosystem benefits and provide a temporary relief. If the area is suitable, other beavers will eventually move back in. An alternative to removing the beavers is coexisting with them. One tool is a beaver baffler, or a pond leveler, seen here. The baffler is a long tube with an underwater inlet to allow the flow of water through the dam and keep the water levels below the threshold of flooding. Metal cages on either end of the tube prevent the beavers from clogging the drain. This technique limits the sound of running water that naturally triggers the beaver's instinct to construct a dam or patch a hole in the dam. Some other coexistence tools are culvert protectors and tree wrappings. The culvert protectors are designed to funnel the sound of running water upwards rather than echoing out and triggering the beaver's instinct to dam. Tree wraps are usually made of a stronger wire such as a stucco wire and wrapped around the base of trees. This prevents the beavers from chewing into the trees. Ultimately, beavers are smart and will find a way. It is much easier for us humans to change our behavior than expect beavers to change theirs. What's next? A call to action. As passionate environmental people, we can continue to learn and educate ourselves to protect, conserve, and restore Canada's freshwater resources together. Interested in learning more? Check out our website at tucanada.org for information about our stream rehabilitation training, resources, and upcoming events. Thank you for joining Trout Unlimited Canada. We look forward to working with you on many projects to come.